All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we actually have a legendary West Coast individual, formerly of Ruthless Records, right here live on the line. We got Steffon, also known as Roach Killa, right here live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm great, man. Truly blessed.
I gotta say, it's definitely a blessing and honor to have you on the radio station airwaves this evening, man. Hope everything is all well with yourself out there in California. I've been seeing the news about all these forest fires, man. I hope you and yours are definitely safe through all this.
Oh yeah, we doing all right. Just the cars are all covered in ash and stuff every morning and stuff. It's pretty wild.
I gotta say, I've never experienced that. It might be a dumb question, but is it kind of does it have the snow vibe when you actually kind of use the windshield wipers? Does it come off, or does it kind of like smear a little bit?
No, it just looks like it looks like it doesn't look like ash. It just looks like like these like little white dots all over your car. And I've been out here so long that I know that it's ash. And then we have this like it looks like a cloud cover, but you can tell it's a brown cloud cover. We get used to these fires during this time, real stuff.
But I know you're a busy individual there, Roach, so I'm going to dive right into this interview, man. But I want to take you back to the beginning where you actually started out as a dancer for Breeze and the LA Posse. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a story behind your early beginnings, and of course, what was it like just being a part of the legendary LA Posse?
Oh, it was a blessing. I started out a dancer choreographer, so I was doing choreography work for like King T, Jasmine Guy, all kind of different folks, and then I used to hang out at this club. I was a part of a group called The Individuals, and Breeze was there one night with his manager, and this cat named Dave Petter. And Dave Petter asked me, he told me that Breeze wanted some dancers for his upcoming album. And I thought it was the group of us. So I'm telling my guys, hey, he wants us to, his dancers. And he goes, no, he wants to do something different. He wants one dancer. So I was like, oh, I can't do that. I'm a part of a group. But then my group was like, you better do that. So I ended up doing it. So right after that, like I was hanging with Breeze right after that, like maybe 4 days after that, like every day for 2 weeks. And he never rapped. He never kicked no rhymes. So I was like, this dude ain't no rapper. He don't never rhyme. He's always singing other people's songs. And then the next he was like, hey, do you want to go to New York with me to finish my album? And I was like, sure. And that was my first time to New York, and we shot out to New York, and we was working on Breeze's album. Now I'm around Stetsasonic, Run DMC, because they ended up doing the remix to our second single and things like that. It was wild, man.
And when you actually said you didn't hear like Breeze actually rap for quite some time before you actually flew to New York, what was your first impression when you actually finally heard him spit? Because I gotta say, he definitely is a phenomenal MC, but I could definitely see your point of view of things as well. Not working with somebody and not seeing them rap the entire time, because normally a lot of people are always practicing their craft.
Exactly. But it was, and I thought that was wild, real stuff. I was with him every day, and he would be rapping other people's rhymes. Like, we spent a lot of time with DJ Pooh, because DJ Pooh is also one of the original members of the LA Posse, and he would rap King T stuff and just different stuff. And I was like, this dude is not no rapper. Then finally, when what song was it? It was The Young Son of No One. The title song to his album. When I heard that, I was like, oh, snap. And then the next you know it, they were like, they want him on Funky Like a Piano with King T. It was a bunch of people on that one record. And I was like, oh, this brother got a pen. And then other people were asking him to write for him. And then I was like, oh, I guess he is real. He's just a cool, laid-back dude. Real stuff. Breeze was the type of dude, he bought a car, bro. He bought a 300ZX and didn't have a license. And so I was driving it, and that was my dream car. It was crazy.
I gotta say as well, he's definitely thinking ahead, getting the car before you get the license. A lot of individuals, they think about the license before they get the car, but he was like, nah, man, I got the money, let's get the car.
Yeah, real stuff. He bought DJ Pooh's 300ZX on the Lucerne rims. It was pretty with a pearl. It was white with the pearl paint. It was nice. But he didn't have a license, so I had to drive, and what a problem, huh? I was like,
I don't think you were complaining getting the opportunity to drive that car.
Not one bit, man. Not one bit. It was. I mean, it was crazy. Like once I linked up with Breeze, things just started happening and happening. You know, because like right after we got back from New York, we did his episode of Pump It Up, and after that episode, when we came home, the people from Fox called Daryl Pierce, who was Big Dad from the LA Posse, and Big Dad is staring right at me, and he's talking, and he's like, "Sure, oh yeah, he'll be there. Yeah, okay, that's what's up. Yeah, his name is Steffon. Okay, all right, bye." And he hangs up, and he goes, "Hey, that was the people at Fox. They want you to come down and do a screen test." And I was like, "What's that?" He said, "I don't know, but you're gonna go do it." And so the next day, I went down there, and they told me they wanted me to do like a screen test, walk around with the cameraman, and I interviewed a Rock and different goofy stuff. And next, you know what? That's how I ended up co-hosting Pump It Up with D. Barnes. So it was like one thing after another, from that to the movies to the commercials to Dharma and Greg to Home Improvement to man, I was on a roll, boy. I was about to change my name to Butter because I was on a roll. Real talk. It was a good look.
And I have to ask as well, because obviously one of my questions I actually had for later on in the interview was actually about you venturing into acting. But by the sounds of it, you know what I mean. You just getting but by you getting in front of the camera with D. Barnes and whatnot, was that actually like your first taste of being in front? Sorry, being in front of a camera. Was that actually what really made you want more?
No, actually, I'm from San Pedro, you know, here in California, in the Los Angeles area, in the Harbor area. And I had drama in junior high school because I was a pop locker. And my teacher, Mrs. French, wanted me to compete in the mime competition, you know, represent our school to be a mime. And, you know, miming is like pop locking. So I just pop locked with the white, you know, paint on my face, and I won. And so I liked drama class. You know, I learned a little bit in there, but they kicked me out in high school because they said I was a clown. And next you know it, I'm like the only one from my high school that actually does televisions and movies and stuff like that. You know, so yeah, I always wanted to be an entertainer for sure. My mom was a singer, my uncle was a singer, vocalist. I always wanted to do this. Real talk.
And also as well, you actually inked a phenomenal record deal with Ruthless Records. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a story behind this deal, and of course, how did you actually first meet Eric Eazy-E Wright?
I met E. I knew E from, how far back did I know E? I knew E back when, what was the name of the cube? Like, okay, in San Pedro, they had this garage, and it was called JDC, and it was actually JDC Records that was releasing all the old Egyptian Lover stuff and all this. This was back when I'm in junior high school, and I used to go by there all the time. And back when Uncle Jam's Army and all that was popping, I would meet him and see him, and people would say that's E and stuff like that. Later on, I was, you know, when I'm a dancer and stuff, I'm hanging out at this club called Jamaica Gold and Jamaica Live. And I leave the club at 1:15. The clubs out here close at 2. I leave at 1:15 because the haters start bubbling around 1:30, 1:45, you know. So I get out of there at 1:15. So I'm always walking by myself through the parking lot. And I would run into Rhythm D. You know who Rhythm D is?
A phenomenal producer.
Exactly. So I would run into Rhythm, and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing now?" You know, because he would see me on Pump It Up. And I'm like, "Oh, you know, working on a demo." And he's like, "Oh, man, I produce. Check this out." And he turns up this Real Compton City G's, like he had just made the track. And I'm like, "Whoa, that sounds like some Dre stuff." And he said, "Nah, Dre stuff sound like my stuff." And so I was like, "Yo," so he gave me his number. He said, "Man, you got a dope voice. We should be a group." So I was like, "Cool." So the next morning, he came pick me up. We went to the house in Norwalk, which was one of Eazy's house. We're in there, you know, working on some stuff. Eazy comes in, and he rushes Eazy and says, "Yo, you should check this dude out. He got a dope voice." And then Eazy sees me and goes, "Man, I know this funny dude." Because at the time, I was hosting his, he had it was called the Eazy-E Ruthless Extravaganzas. They were like showcases, and I was the host. And he goes, "You rap?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, kick something." I couldn't get past 4 lines. So he said, "Man, get your stuff together." He went in the room, came back out with this kitchen bag full of bud, right? And he puts it down. He goes, "You ready?" And so I tried again. I mess up. Same line. He goes, can you freestyle? I hit a little bit of freestyle. He goes, go to the studio and work on your album. Better than me. And I go, and he walks out and he leaves us with the bud. So me and Rhythm is looking at each other like, what just happened? Rhythm said, man, and he calls the studio called Kitchen Sink and says, hey, we're going to be working on a new Ruthless artist named Steffon. They said, who's paying for it? He said, Ruthless. They said, we'll call you back. I guess they called Ruthless. By then, Eazy called Jerry and told him he just signed a new artist named Steffon. And they called back and said, we'll see you tomorrow. So I was like, what just happened? So I had to call my manager because at the time I was a spokesperson for the Center to Prevent Handgun Violence, Children of the Night, you know, like homeless programs for children and, you know, a lot of positive type of stuff. And I didn't even curse in my rhyme. And I ended up getting a deal on Ruthless. So my manager was like, you're not that kind of rapper. I said, I know. And he's like, man, we got to get you a good lawyer because we're going to be dealing with Jerry Heller. And then next you know it, that's how I got my deal.
And I gotta say as well, I was just speaking of that album that you were just speaking about going to the studio and working on. July 26th of 1994, you actually dropped "Trippin' with No Luggage Man." That actually, I noticed as well that that actually Rhythm D did some phenomenal production work actually on that project. I was wondering if you can actually break down this iconic album. And of course, like obviously, when you were just speaking briefly about your image previously, did Eazy-E and Jerry ever want you to change that like positive image within your music, or did they kind of like really give you that freedom to actually let you do what you want to do?
Yeah, Eazy understood everything that I was doing. I was actually surprised at it because he knew all my songs, you know, and I thought it was definitely different. Everybody else was murder, murder, kill, kill, you know, street stuff. And but at that time he had he signed he had Blood of Abraham, who wasn't gangster. He had the Ab-Bang Clan, who later became the Black Eyed Peas. He had Terry B, who was like one of the early white female rappers. He was stepping out the box where he was making Ruthless a real record label. Because I remember him telling me, Steph, you know, we're not really a record label. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we're a glorified production company. And I was like, really? Eazy had me in classes, and I was like, really? It's like, yeah, you know, this is the early days of production company. We make the acts, we make the videos, and then the record company takes it from there, and that's how we get paid. I was like, ooh, I want to do something new in my life. And that's when I started getting more into business, stuff like that.
And also as well, with that album, I also know one of the engineers is actually a phenomenal individual by the name of Tony A. the Wizard as well. I have to ask, what was it like just being able to work behind the scenes with Tony A?
Tony, man, that was my guy. Tony was the guy. And early on, Tony wasn't that guy Tony you know now, you know, who ended up becoming the guy who won awards for doing GoldenEye. You know, the video GoldenEye for EA Sports and stuff like that. Like, real talk, Tony is the man. Like when he stopped doing hip hop, I was still hanging with Tony. They have one of the EA Sports compounds here in Culver City out here. And when they hired him, he was like, Steph, I'm going to retire here. And he invited me to the compound, and you know how it's TVs everywhere, every corner you turn, it's a PlayStation. It's ridiculous. So, it was amazing. He's one of the best, though. I haven't seen Tony in years. Real talk, I have not seen Tony in years. I would love to run into Tony.
He's from what I noticed as well, because I've interviewed Tony a couple times, and I talk with him every now and then. He's actually doing a phenomenal radio program by the name of Rhodium Radio. He's actually like interviewing a lot of people. I think it's 2 times a week. He actually does it on YouTube. Phenomenal program.
And it's called Rhodium Radio.
Rhodium Radio, yeah, it's right on YouTube. If you type that in, you'll be able to see it. And I believe he goes live Wednesday nights. I want to say, I believe 6 p.m. West Coast time.
This is right here. Man, I've been wanting to catch up with Tony for years.
What I'll do after the interview, once we hop off the air, I'll actually send you a link to his IG and whatnot as well. That way you guys can converse. Because I do know it's hard to keep track with his IG because he got hacked a couple times and shut down. So for I think it was a couple years ago, it was like 7 or 8 different IGs in actually the course of a year just due to like online foolery.
Oh, that's great. Look, man, Tony, one time back in the day, well, I don't know. Can I tell this story? I guess I can. You know, we were recording some stuff on E, and Tony, you know, we all, you know, smoking bud in the studio, right? And Tony, this was the day he quit, because he actually erased all everything that was on the reel by accident. And it was like, what? He erased all the vocals, the entire track. He left the record button on because he was sitting there stoned, and erased everything.
Did it actually pick up any of your guys' voices, or was it just completely blank?
No, we had already recorded the track. Rhythm had already made the beat. What's name had vocals on there already. E had vocals. It was already pretty much done. We was fixing up some stuff, and he left the record button on while we were sitting in the main, you know, behind the board talking and laughing, having a good old time. And then looked up and saw the record button was on, and it erased everything. That's the first time I ever told that one. Real stuff. My bad.
Oh, we're actually completely uncensored, man. So if you definitely need to swear, definitely go for it.
Oh, I can relax then. That's what's happening, because I'm definitely trying to think of what.
I feel like I wish I would have told you sooner, actually. You know what I mean? It probably would have helped out 15 minutes ago.
Oh, right on. That's what's up. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
And before we move off,
and that's what. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, my apologies, Roach. Go for it.
No, I was just thinking about that incident, because after that, you know, he would not smoke no more bud. He would just smell it, like, you know, like take the blunt and just smell the smoke off of it, and that would be it. Real talk, because he never wanted to do that again. Man, Tony, that's great.
And also, though, before we move off the topic of Eazy-E and the Ruthless Records days, the one thing I have to ask, because obviously you spent a lot of time alongside the late, great Eazy-E, and of course, unfortunately, this generation will never get the opportunity to really, you know, experience Eazy-E during his time he was with us. So if you don't mind me asking, man, for the individuals that didn't really know very much about Eazy-E, what was he like as a human being, just aside from the music industry?
Oh, he was a good dude. He was funny. He was, you know, he had a real playful spirit. He could skateboard his ass off. He was a good dude. Like, you know, like you hear, like, you know, like, I'm sure everybody that experiences you doesn't get the same person every time. You know what I mean? Like, some people get this side of me, some people get this side of me, you know? And the side of E that I got was, I mean, he helped all of us. Real talk. Everybody who was on that label at that time received help and was put in great position. He gave us all a super opportunity, bro. Like, where, I mean, like, what other record label could you actually call the CEO up and complain? You know what I mean? And him actually answer the call and be telling you tripping and shit and all that. Yeah, it's like, he was a good dude, because like I said, we were doing business aside from me, outside of me being signed to Ruthless, you know. Like, it's an interview he did in the Source magazine when we're sitting at the table, and he's sitting there sacking up dub sacks and stuff like that, and the dude's saying, why you have millions of dollars, why are you doing this? And he's like, oh, I don't have to do this. This is just my connection to the street, you know, and a way to help out people that need help. You know, it's single mothers that aren't making money, that hustle and do things, and sometimes they need that assistance, and what other way to be able to help, you know, multiple people on different levels. Yeah, he was active, man. He was involved with a whole bunch of people. He was bringing cultures together, like the Mexican rappers and the black rappers. You know, we had a black and brown thing going on up at Ruthless. It was a movement, man. Real talk.
And also, as well, you were actually a member of a hip-hop group alongside Mr. B.O.X, B.O.X. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this particular group. And, of course, what made you guys decide to come together to create Power Plant?
Oh, me and B.O.X, we go back like bucket seats. B.O.X is, you know, me, B.O.X, we go far back, like in B.O.X's early days of when he was rapping and I was strictly dancing. And B.O.X helped me with a lot of my style on my album. You know, we were together like every day, me, him, and Chocolate. You know, Chocolate, Mr. Choc that produced Vanilla Ice. He produced all that Vanilla Ice stuff, the Ice Ice Baby and all that. We would always be at Chocolate's house chilling, and me and Box would be chilling. And because Box is a phenomenal writer, you know, he's the pen behind a lot of your favorite MCs. Real talk. So by being together every day and smoking and you know, vibing, that's how we became Power Plant 420. It was like we might as well be a group. Shoot, we do everything together, like every day. Real talk. So that's how we started that. We started the Power Plant 420 because, you know, I'm really big in the cannabis industry here in California. You know, from the days of Corrupt Moon Rocks and all that kind of stuff. I used to make cannabis sodas and barbecue sauce before it was a legal thing. You know, anything made from cannabis, I can whip it up. So since them days, that's how far we go back.
I gotta say as well, just how you said barbecue sauce, man. I'm trying to picture in my head right now being able to eat a steak and actually get high, man, at the same time. I gotta say that right there is a phenomenal invention. Oh
yeah, it's a good look. I make hot sauce too, man. I got the hot sauce you can make your wings from. Oh yeah, now you feeling real right, real talk.
It's the only steak that will actually give you munchies after you're done eating it.
Hey, yeah, I know how you want to eat more after you're full. Real talk.
But also, so going into your acting side of things, in the year 1993, you actually portrayed the character Sherwood Forrest, actually, in the movie Robin Hood. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this particular role, and of course, what was it like just partaking in that movie? In that particular movie.
At the time I was a dancer, and I had a dance agent, a company called Bobby Ball, and Bobby Ball, they were just transitioning into representing actors. They had, dang it, what's her name? Jessica Alba. She was one of their first actresses that they had, and they were so they were taking people from their dance department and seeing if we would go out on commercial auditions and things like that. And they sent me to be the dancer in Robin Hood, and I had a friend. She was also a famous actress, but she had ran like a little private agency, you know, where we actually helped each other. You know, we would read the breakdown and stuff like that. She also sent me to that audition, but she sent me to be the rapper. So I didn't even do the dance part. I was like, I want to be an actor. So I ended up doing that one, and I ended up getting it, and which caused a conflict between my two agents. But it was Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks was like, it was between me and did you see the movie Life with Martin?
I have Life, yeah. That's the one when him and Eddie Murphy they're in prison and they like hate each other, but they actually like fight their whole life. Yeah, amazing movie.
Exactly. So it was it came down to between me and the guy who was saying, "You gonna eat your cornbread?"
Oh yes, that guy.
Okay, him. May he rest in peace. It was between me and him, and I actually got the part because I can dance better than him. Real talk. And so during the filming of it, Mel Brooks, I actually, if you look, I have on this big chain, like, because it was basically trying to, you know, do a little funny mock on rap, but back then, but I actually had on a hourglass. You know, they were, you know, like how Flavor Flav wears the big clock. So I had an hourglass on my chain. And if you notice in the very first scene, when it starts, it goes, yo, 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 check it out. And I do this like scissor karate kick. I jumped up and I kicked the hourglass and kicked the sand everywhere. And Mel Brooks lost his mind. He came over there and cursed me out and shit. Real talk. I was like, oh, my bad. Real. Yeah, it was a good look. But I ended up working with a lot of people because I would show up early, and you know, because I wasn't trained, I didn't go to Cambridge or nothing like that. I'm more of a mimic. You show me what you want, I can give you what you want. And I show up early, and I was a humble dude. Next, you know, and I'd get a call from another person who would say, hey, you worked with Steve on this last commercial. I'm doing a Pepsi commercial. I wanted to know if you'd be involved. He said you were a great guy. Sure. And that's how my whole career was. It was just, you know, being humble and being cool and and people would recommend me for the next job and the next job and the next job.
And also, as well, in 1998, you actually portrayed LL Tool J in ABC's sitcom Home Improvement. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind that role, and of course, how did that originally come to be for you? Because back then, Home Improvement was the show to watch.
Wow, man, you did your homework. I've never been asked about none of this in none of my interviews, bro. I appreciate you.
Definitely, man. You're most certainly welcome. I'm going to be honest. I'm a huge fan of Home Improvement, so I actually remember watching that episode. So when I actually put the name together, when I actually read LL Tool J, I was like, wait, I remember that episode. It's crazy that I can remember something from 98, but I don't know what I ate for dinner last week.
You sound like me, man. That's funny. I had finally, at that point, I ended up having an agent. And I would go on different auditions, and I went and auditioned for that role. And the guy who plays my partner in that, his name is Sam Sarbong. May he rest in peace. He was one of the early. If not, I think he was the first black model for Tommy Hilfiger and stuff like that. He was high end. So it was. I think because I went in with him, he was already somebody. It was a few people that I worked with when I did Vegas and things like that, that if I had to read with somebody that was already like connected and cool, it helped. It definitely helped because, our chemistry just worked and they wanted to work with him. So, they were like, hey, it's going to work. So it was actually they were looking for lyrics for the Tool Time instrumental song. And so they had a bunch of different acts coming in, and we were the rap act, which was a blessing, man. It was the last show of the oldest brother before he went off to college. That was what his episode. That was that episode where he left and he was going away to college. I believe it was the 100th episode, which has been a blessing, bro, because the royalties still come. So that's a good look too.
And it's always weird when characters actually go off like that. Because when Randy actually came back to the show after college, it was weird. It's like he just grew up. It almost was like a different person. I remember that when he came back in the show.
Yeah, I was a fan of the show too. And plus, during the filming of the show, I was kicking it with not the one that went off to college, but the other two youngsters. The one that played the littlest brother, he was doing the vegan thing before it was a thing. He actually opened up a vegan restaurant out here in the Valley. He had a vegan catering service. This was back then. And so we would kick it and stuff. I crashed my car the last day of shooting that program because I was so happy. Real talk.
And before we move off the topic of Home Improvement, I have to ask, because during your time on that show, did you actually get the opportunity to interact with Tim Allen, the legend himself? And if so, how did that interaction actually go?
Yeah, I did. It was hella surprising because, like I said, when I started my career in all the aspects, I didn't want to mess up my position in whatever I was getting. So I didn't talk much. I just, waited on directions and stuff like that. But I noticed that the stars and the people that already worked, what the fuck? Tim Allen cursed like like a drunken sailor. He's hardcore. Real talk. He's hardcore. He's totally different than you would think he was on TV. He's more of a down to earth regular dude, and he's not square at all. Because we talked about him going on vacation. Remember when he got caught up in that situation and had to go sit down and do a little time?
I remember that. Yeah, I believe it was like a little bit of cocaine, but I remember that. Everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, we were talking about all that. So that, man, come on. I admit all my F's on my report card. So, and I admire that about people that you would, consider, stars or celebrities, folks that really, they can, they don't have no shame in their game. Of course, we fall, but it's about getting back up and things like that. So I admired that. That was drive for me because I too messed up in my early days, real talk. So to mess up and to now be on television and having records out and doing all this kind of stuff is a blessing. Real talk.
And it definitely proves as well. Just individuals like Tim Allen actually shows people like me as well that you like. You can have like a rough beginning early on in your life, but just because you have a record doesn't mean you can't do amazing things.
That's the truth. And a lot of people, a lot of times early on when I came home, I would use that as an excuse. Like once that's you in your mind, you're like, it's over. Ain't nobody gonna give me no opportunity, so you don't even you don't even try. It's less. You do less because you're like they're gonna see that and think, nah. You're trying to think for other people, not knowing that was something that happened in your life, and it's time to move on. A lot of people have messed up, and a lot of people understand, even those that haven't messed up. The fact that you're still driving and still willing to get it in, come on, man. Come on. You deserve to get it in. Real talk. You're gonna keep on driving after slipping and falling, and you're not about that no more. And through that, can help other people in the conversation. Come on, the universe gonna look out for you. Let's go.
And also as well, you are actually currently the host of your own weekly radio show titled Live from the Roach Villa. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about your show, and of course, what originally made you decide to launch this? Because I've tuned in a few times on your Instagram, and I have to say, I love the conversations that you guys bring to the table, man. It's always something different every single week.
Oh man, I started that because I was I'm a marketing director in the cannabis industry, and at that time I was working for a company called Seabright Distribution, and I came up with a few brands. One called Deep Sea Moon Rock, and the other one is called Hammerhead Pre-Rolls. And we were looking for a way to promote our products. So what we did was I would go on my live, I would go on the Seabright live, and the individual lives of the product. So I'd be on 4 phones doing the live, basically, real talk with Steffon, and so I would just go on. Basically, it was to promote the product, but then it slowly drifted into. I linked up with my guy King Tech and my other guy Dismos, and we came together because King Tech had King Tech TV, and so we came together, and now we are the King's Table, which we do a show over on King Tech TV every Wednesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. And we do various contests and stuff like that. Usually on Tuesdays, we do vocal contests, MC contests, producer contests, give away KRKs. We have a few sponsorships and things like that. So we have a few things, and the podcast and all that has been a blessing too. Now I've done everything there is to do in the industry, from dancing to music to producing to acting, and now podcasting. And it's going up. We're getting opportunities, and you're going to see a lot more of it, maybe on some major channels and things like that coming.
And I have to ask, what is next for yourself, Roach Killa? Because I do know that we only touched base on maybe 2% of your iconic career here this evening. But I have to ask, is there anything we happen to miss? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? What we still got you here live on the Canadian FM dial this evening?
Well, what I want to promote is basically, the King's Table over on King Tech TV. You can follow me on Roach Killa Music. That's Killa with an A. Roach Killa Music, and over on the King's Table or King Tech TV. We're pushing this podcast thing. I'm still producing. I'm really big in the crypto industry and the NFT industry. I'm all over the place. But I do a lot of consulting work for NFT companies and this crypto stuff, blockchain, Web3. That's where I'm at, and that's my future. That's my present, and where I'm going to retire at is I'm going harder in the Web3 movement because we're bringing how they made Death Row an NFT record label. I'm doing a lot of that, transferring things from the physical world into the digital space because that's where it's going. So basically, that's what I'm on, man. I'm still acting. I have a movie coming out. I'm working on a movie. I got a lot of NDAs involved, so it's just, I'm just blessed, man. I'm active. I'm just out here, man, having fun. I do mentorship. I have a few mentees, and on some Big Brother program stuff, trying to help you know, the young gentlemen of all colors and race, creeds, and colors type of things. I'm doing a lot of life coaching, things like that, man. The universe looked out for me, so I'm trying to look out. You dig? That's what I'm on.
And I gotta say as well, when you actually said you have a new movie coming out, I do know that when it comes to those, you can't release too much information. So I just want to say I'm definitely excited just to see yourself, Roach, in a new movie, man. It's definitely going to be great when it does get released to the general public.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, it's crazy because I can tell you the name. It's called The Search for Euphoria. They've been having, you know, because I know I've seen a couple of advertisements and trailers on some pieces, and I know the title song has this. I know it's Battle Cat on there. Cube is on there. I know Big Dad, L.A. Posse is on there. Muscle from the L.A. Posse produced it. I know General Jeff, he's on there. It's a few people on that record, and it's I believe all of them are also in the movie also. So that's as far as I know I can mention it.
And also, Roach, this is a time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to just a chance to actually give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all, your social media handles, man. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Roach Killa, past, present, or future, if they're not already doing so.
Right on. Like I said, Instagram, Roach Killa Music. Roach Killa with an A. Roach Killa Music. And if you keep up with Roach Killa Music, you'll be able to keep up with everything that I'm doing as far as in the crypto world. Because, you know, the crypto world is a whole different... I actually have a private identity that I'm doing over there. So, but you'll be able to keep up with all that. King Tech TV, Dismos, and, you know, the King's Table. That's where my focus is right now. And, you know, I'm still doing stuff with Rhythm D. You know, that's my brother. I see him on an everyday basis. So we're still working. He's still working on a grip of new artists and new things. So we're doing a lot of things together. And, you know, like I said, life coaching, trying to, you know, give back. That's just what I'm on.
And I got to say,
appreciate everybody, real shit. I do. I appreciate everybody for, you know, the interest, bro. I mean, like, I'm really grateful for the experience and to have and still be here and be a part of this whole get down, man. You truly don't understand it. Like I said, the universe has looked out for me so tough, and I so want to be able to give back because I'm truly appreciative.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, thank you so much, Roach, for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and sharing some of these amazing stories that you actually like lived throughout your iconic career, man, and just telling us just your history, man. Thank you so much, and definitely have yourself a phenomenal weekend. And of course, be safe with those forest fires out there. Hopefully, they get put out soon.
Man, I appreciate you, man, and thank you so much, and thank your listeners, man, and keep up the great work, family. Real tough. You know, I mean, you know, I had a great time, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, man, you're most certainly welcome. Like I always tell everybody, man, I'm going to keep doing it until the wheels fall off, and when the wheels do fall off, I'll jump back out the truck and put them back on and keep on going.
That part. My guy. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you as well, man. Definitely have yourself a phenomenal weekend. I'm pretty sure down the line we shall talk again soon, but for now, have yourself a wonderful night.
You too, family. Appreciate you.